That was a lot.
A lot of claps.
A lot of claps.
Got to make sure we're synced up. Got to be synced.
That's a good point. Synced. Good point.
Got to be sanctified.
I don't think that's a...
Is that not a word? Similar to sanctified?
No, that's different. That's
edified.
That's
bona fide.
He's bona fide.
Justified.
What movie is that from?
Oh, Brother Wart Thou. Daddy, he's bona fide.
I've still got to go watch that again.
I've said this before. That's probably one of my top 3 movies of all time. Oh, Brother Wart Thou.
That's a bold take.
It's a theatrical masterpiece.
Top 3?
Top 3.
I guess, I don't know. I guess I can't say a lot. My number 1 is Forrest Gump.
Forrest is good.
Like, as far as my favorite movies. Like,
certainly good
number
movie.
1's Forrest Gump.
Certainly a good movie. But yeah, Oh Brother Wart Thou, certainly top 3.
I need to rewatch it because I've not seen it as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure as a teen or even whatever comes right before teen.
Tween.
Preteen.
Preteen.
I probably didn't get some of the humor and some of the lines.
Yeah, well, so I certainly gained a larger appreciation for it once I got into photo and video. That was a movie that actually changed the game for color grading, which I'm a big fan of. It was one of the first films that was shot on film and then color graded digitally.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Also, big fan. That was Roger Deakins, cinematographer on that movie. So, big Deakins fan over here.
Yeah.
That was kind of his one of his fortes, I guess you could say.
But conceptually,
it's a great movie as well because
Okay.
it's a very loose interpretation of the Odyssey. If you've read Homer's The Odyssey, which I was also a fan of in school.
I have not read.
Yeah.
I'm not a big reader.
It's, I mean, again, very loose interpretation of the story, but good nonetheless.
Hey,
Love
speaking of loose interpretations,
Just a
of
man trying to get back to his family.
the bigger story,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to talk about some photography hot takes. I mean,
Some fighting takes.
hot takes.
Fighting
Yeah,
words.
some of these words are fight starters to some folks.
Folks, get your gloves out.
And we're gonna
Get your dukes up.
discuss them.
We're going to throw hands.
See if there's any merit to this, the heat involved with these takes.
It's going to get spicy.
It might, or it may just get dumb. Who knows? Also a possibility. But first, let's thank our sponsor.
Sponsor of today's episode of Faith and Frames is none other than us. Jared and Garrett here at Motion Creative Media and our Blue Collar LUT. Folks, if you are looking for a drag and drop, plug and play filter for your iPhone footage, DSLR, or mirrorless camera video footage, look no further than the Blue Collar LUT. Link is down in the description below. This is a drag and drop filter.
Yep.
That's going to add a little bit of pizzazz, a little bit of spice,
A little punch.
a little bit of heat since we're talking hot takes today
right.
to your video footage. I would love to see the results that you get from this LUT. You can send those to us. Let us know what you think. That link, again, is in the description down below. Jared, thanks for sponsoring this episode.
Thank you.
Hey, not a
Listen,
problem.
I'll be honest with you. I threw it atop some iPhone footage.
You did.
For
In a
one of
recent
our-
video.
Yeah, one of our recent vlogs. And dude, gonna tell you,
Look pretty spicy.
pretty transformative.
Pretty spicy.
So
All right, meat and taters. Get us the meat and taters. We're talking hot takes, and apparently you're ready to fight.
I'm not ready to fight. I'm
okay.
a lover, not a fighter. I guess one of my other things is a bit of a people pleaser. I don't like confrontation.
Well, then this is not the episode for you.
And well, I'm going to see myself out. No, but I have written down here, X brand is better than Y brand. I'm going to fill in X and Y and say that Canon is better than Sony.
Now, you would say that as a Canon guy, because the other guys on the other side of the table say Sony's better than Canon.
Fine. We'll switch it. Sony is better than Canon.
Mighty big fighting
That's
words
the take.
there.
That's
Mighty
the take.
big words.
What do you think?
Well, so I mean, this whole discussion of X is better than Y when it comes to cameras. We've talked about this in a few episodes, but in all reality nowadays, all cameras are so good.
Yeah.
I don't think that there is actually a quote best brand out there. I think when it comes to cameras and the way that I think about cameras, because I'm certainly not what you would say brand loyal.
Yeah.
I'm pretty agnostic in my camera branding. I own them all. I love them all. I shoot them all. I don't own a Sony right now, but I've shot Sony. I do like things about Sony. But I don't think there's any best camera brand out there. I think that some things that we have to look at as photographers, as videographers, are what tool is going to best help me get the results that I need, either for myself, for my client, whatever. So maybe that Sony camera that pains me to use because I hate their menu system.
Now that's something that's unavoidable. Their menu systems suck.
To us.
No, they suck.
Well, to us. Again, there's people who, as a tool, they enjoy it.
They can enjoy the menu.
I'm just saying.
Listen, there's a dude on Threads. His name's Trent. He just picked up an FX6. And one of his first threads post-owning
the menu system
he said the menu system was just
everybody says it, but people still buy Sony cameras.
Well, they do produce good imagery.
But that's what I'm saying. It all comes down to, is this tool going to get me the results that I need for my client? We've used Sony cameras for one of our bigger productions before, and it was the tool that we needed because we were in an area A that we needed great low light performance.
Yep.
B, we needed cameras that were rugged and robust and that would work because we were in a darn blacksmith forge.
Yep.
For a week. So those were the tools at the time that could handle that job. But yeah, this whole idea of X is better than Y, I think it all boils down to these are tools.
Right.
And we have to decide as creatives which tool is going to get me to the end result the best.
Right.
Whether it be through performance, I would say through things like menu systems.
Right.
Usability.
Because that matters.
It does.
That
things
matters.
Like that matter.
That's something to consider. And I started with Canon.
Yeah.
Love
Canon.
And I'll say this, from a menu system standpoint,
bueno. Very bueno.
Only camera that I would say has a simpler menu
Blackmagic
is Blackmagic. I mean, it's literally. I think my 4-year-old could probably thumb through a Blackmagic menu. I
have an internal conspiracy that Blackmagic actually colluded with the brand Play School to invent their menu system because it's literally 4-year-old friendly.
But I say all that to say, yes, your menu system does matter. Yeah. If you can't manipulate the settings or manipulate your camera effectively, it's not a good tool for you. Right. So something to be aware of. Another thing that I think a lot of people overlook is ergonomics.
Ergonomics, how that camera feels in your hand.
Because my hand's different than your hand.
Yes.
For instance, I don't know.
And that's a good thing, because if we had the same hands, that'd be weird.
It would be weird. So, for instance, our buddy Jeremy.
Jeremy Googe, shout out.
Now, that dude does not become loyal to any camera.
Jeremy
I think in the last year, he's owned at least 12 different cameras.
He's like me. He loves them all.
Loves them all. But I will say this. He has tried Sony.
Yeah.
So he's tried Sony. He's owned Sony, been in the Sony system for a bit. Does not like it, has zero desire to go back to it. And he's told me before,
ergonomics.
It's because of the ergonomics. That big flange outside of their E-mount hits his hand in a very uncomfortable...
It's sharp.
It's sharp to him. That matters. Now, to other people, they probably never noticed that, in which case that's fine.
Right.
I think you need to even look further into, like, what are the ergonomics of this camera? How does this camera feel in my hand? Is it too heavy? For instance, if it's too heavy, like if a lot of the Canon stuff's big, even their mirrorless line, especially if you go to the RF glass.
Gonna be clunky.
Gonna be clunky. Maybe you need to look into the Fuji system.
Yeah.
The whole system is going to be way smaller, way lighter.
The Fuji system might not have enough grip for you.
It may not have enough grip. So, like, and yes, I would agree. X brand is better than Y brand.
I think that's a very old conversation now.
It's not. It's fun to chop up, and I guess technically it's.
I mean, we all have fun with it on Threads with each other. You know, everybody likes busting each other's chops over what they're using, but at the end of the day, like, cameras nowadays are so good.
Yeah, they're so capable.
I'm gonna say even from like 2010 to present, like, there's some bangers out there from every brand, really.
Yeah, I have professionally been using for the last 2 weeks a Canon 5D Mark III from 2012. Yeah, something like that.
My favorite's a Fujifilm from 2015. So
very capable.
Very capable.
I don't think any brand is better than any other brand.
They're all tools.
Now, they do sometimes beat one another to the punch regarding like some of the latest tech and specs and stuff like that. And it's fun on a spec sheet to be like, oh, this one shoots 60 frames per second.
But to me, that's no different than cell phones. Like cell phones and TVs boasting, oh, now we made an 85-inch TV that's, 12K display and it's 3 million OLED pixels.
Whatever it is.
I don't know what the specs are, but either way. That's any tech game.
Those are specs on a sheet, and sure, they matter to a degree, but like ultimately, does this tool fit into your workflow? Can you effectively get the results that you want?
Yeah.
And is it fun and easy for you to use. Like,
Yeah, is it an enjoyable experience?
yeah, because if it's a cumbersome experience, if it's cumbersome for you to fiddle through these menus every time you have to go out on a photo, that's not going to be like, you're not going to want to go out and do that.
Or think about this, especially with your higher end brands. I mean, there's sometimes where cost is a factor too. You may be able to afford the body, but then you go look at some glass.
That's another thing.
You're like, ooh, this is not the right tool for me because I don't have the budget for this.
That's why I would still recommend buying used.
Yeah,
but yes,
whatever you buy used.
It's expensive to switch systems. And so like that's something too that you need to think about. It's like, okay,
I'm already in this ecosystem.
Yeah, if you've already started to buy Canon EF glass or Canon RF glass or Nikon Z glass, whatever, notice or know that it's a reasonably long-term investment in most cases, unless you've got just totally expendable income.
Or a lot of
adapters. You can afford, or you're wanting to adapt. But yes, to sit here today in 2024 and say X brand is better than Y brand, I don't buy that. Now I have my preferences,
his hands clean,
and I think everyone should.
Yeah,
have
everybody has their preference.
But you should get to your preference destination based on usage.
This is real quick off the dome, but if you had to compare camera brands to church denominations,
go. We're not going there. The next thing that we're going to talk about as a hot take is I've heard it. I have told people this.
I've told myself this.
I don't think this statement is going anywhere, but it's that gear doesn't matter.
Why do you think that?
Why do I think that?
Or why do you not think it?
I think it and don't think it.
You think it? Are you saying to not to right now?
I'm saying it's both.
You're telling me to not to think about it?
The sentiment is true.
Yeah.
And we kind of talked about it in the first little bit, but the sentiment is true. Gear does not matter because ultimately that piece of gear is nothing other than a tool.
Right.
You know, that's kind of like saying, would Jason Knight, who's a master bladesmith,
the master bladesmith.
Well, he's not the only one, but yeah, he's a great bladesmith.
He's the Mac Daddy.
Are we to say that he couldn't do a better or a quicker or more efficient job with
Harbor Freight Pittsburgh tools?
He could get it done.
he could make a knife with them.
Now, is there better gear for his craft could make him do it quicker, more efficiently? All this, absolutely. But the fact of the matter is, Jason Knight, because he has the skills, could turn out a great knife, a great blade with very level or entry level tools.
But his preference is to not use a Pittsburgh ball peen hammer
because he has the skills though. Like he's developed those skills. And ultimately, gear doesn't matter. No, it doesn't matter. It's more so in the skill set. Yeah. But
sometimes it does matter.
The asterisk, and that's why I was like going my radio both situation.
Both.
Like, both. Dang, that's a good movie too.
It is a good movie.
It at some point it does come into play though.
Oh yeah.
Like there are physical limitations with certain gear. For instance, gear definitely matters if you need 120 frames per second.
Yeah.
Because a lot of cameras can't shoot 120 frames per second.
Like, even beyond the darn camera, though, I mean, you think about, and this is kind of more prevalent in like a studio environment or if you're shooting, commercially or whatever, like sometimes it goes beyond the camera. If you're a studio photographer, like you need strobe lighting, you need a prop, you need backdrops, you need all kinds of things. So yeah, the gear does matter in that case to accomplish your studio mission.
Yeah.
Or if we're shooting a commercial versus us capturing an event, I'm not going to take my event gear by itself to a commercial shoot.
Yeah.
Because we know traditionally on a commercial shoot, we may have to bring in more lighting.
Right.
We may have to bring in, extra accessories, audio, things like that. So yeah, there's certainly a fine line between it not mattering and it absolutely mattering.
Yeah.
And that line comes, does this help me shoot more efficiently? Does it help me shoot quicker, better, faster, whatever, what have you? There is a point to where it does matter, but there's also a point to where no, it comes back to the holder of the gear.
Yeah. It's all a tool, and there are certain tools that can make your job way easier.
Yeah.
To use a literal example of Jason Knight, he could forge an entire thing by hand with just an anvil a forge, and a hammer.
But he don't want to.
But he also has
He
a
got
power
power
hammer,
hammer.
which is
Power.
pneumatic, and
Pow,
it's
pow.
doing it for him. Like,
Power.
my point is, you can get the end result both ways.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes nice tools make the job a little easier.
There's a reason Snap-on is still in business.
Also true. Hey, but so is Harbor Freight.
Harbor Freight's still in business too. Exactly. It takes both.
Pittsburgh's got that lifetime warranty, baby.
it takes both. So it doesn't matter, but it does matter.
Yeah. That one's one I can get on both sides.
Yeah.
I understand the sentiment. It's people who are trying to encourage people to get started and not let gear be a limitation. Yeah. And it shouldn't be.
Right.
It should not be.
I was going to say that what we do now is like so accessible.
Yes.
In 2024 here.
If you want to get started, gear does not matter.
Right.
In that sense. If your camera turns on.
Yeah.
It has the ability to
if
write
your
to
phone
an
turns
SD
on nowadays,
you're good.
You're good to go. Go rock it. Go rock it.
Now, as you get more skills.
I was going to say, it all depends on context and application.
Yeah.
As far as that statement goes. Moving on to the next.
Ooh.
This one's a fun one.
Yeah.
Editing my raw images versus I'm a straight out of camera JPEG shooter. I get it right in camera.
Yeah.
I don't need no editing.
This is really kind of came about probably ever since digital was a thing. And it's an older, I think, mindset of get it right in camera and you don't need to edit.
Are you saying this is a boomer mentality?
I'm not going to say it's a boomer mentality, but like
I think you're saying it's a boomer mentality.
There's still people who sit on this throne that if you get your JPEG right, you don't need to edit it, and that's a finished product. And you know what?
In some cases, that's true.
They're not wrong in saying that. That is a factual statement.
Well, yeah, especially considering how subjective our art form is.
It is very subjective. So, didn't you have somebody like last week or something?
Oh, a few weeks ago. I mean, one of my guilty pleasures and to the detriment of my bank account hobbies is I go try to rescue every decrepit, unwanted, unloved camera that I can find. So I hit up yard sales, antique stores, thrift stores, the works.
Met a person at the yard sale though, right?
Met a person at the yard sale. We had a good conversation. She was a photographer of the older mentality. And I'm cool because I straddle the fence. I still shoot film. I shoot digital. So like I really don't care what you shoot or how you edit or how you don't. But she got on this tangent about Lightroom and how she don't need no Lightroom because she shoots pure photography.
I don't know what that is, but
go talk to her. She'll tell you.
More power to you.
Love this woman to death. We had a great conversation, a few good laughs. But yeah, I mean, we got on this conversation of pure photography versus how if you edit your photos, you don't actually know how to photography. And
interesting.
It was a very interesting conversation. But there are still people out there, we see it on Threads daily. Like there's this big debate on Threads right now on Instagram and everything else of RAW versus JPEG straight out of camera shooting.
Yep.
And a lot of brands now are like utilizing JPEG recipes, as we call them, which is just a baked-in look, like a LUT, like our blue-collar LUT, link in the description below, a baked-in look that you can put on your JPEGs. And it's pretty much finished product when it comes out of the camera.
Right.
Me and you both shoot JPEGs.
Yeah.
Recipes, but we
With
also edit. Yeah.
I actually, guilty pleasure, I shoot, or confession here, I shoot RAW plus JPEG.
I mean, I do too if I've got the card space. Yeah, if I've got the card space,
like,
for sure.
You know what? I may want to turn and burn this JPEG and it may be sufficient, but I also want to give myself the flexibility a year
if I want
from
to go
now,
back.
if I want to go tweak this. So I'm going to give myself the raw flexibility. But yes, there is an older mentality of if you get it right in camera, you don't have to edit. And I think those people I think they come from a different mindset of it's more of a documentary situation. Now,
it is.
Can you achieve a proper exposure and good composition in camera and it be a baked JPEG and you not need to touch it? Sure.
I do it all the time.
If that's what you want to do. I personally enjoy the editing process. I do. I really enjoy the editing process because I don't, and I try to stay timeless with my editing style. I always have tried to do that, but basically I want to accentuate certain features and colors within that image, or if a color is so overpowering, I want
And you
to,
subdue it a little bit.
and that happens a lot with our greens in this area. I typically will take my greens to more of a yellow, and my yellow's a bit more to the orange. I like orange. But if it subtracts from, or if it's a visual distraction, I want to try and remove
get rid
that,
of it a little bit.
because to me, as the person who captured this image, saw this image, fired the shutter, I saw the image a certain way.
Well, but you too, you mentioned something very important. You know, there's a different mentality in the sense of that older mentality comes more from a documentary approach. If you think about, you know, photography of the past 40 years, it's not until very recently, I'm going to say the past 10 or so years, maybe 15 years, that photo editing has even become a thing digitally.
Yeah.
To where people are posting their edits or really focusing on their style as far as their edits go. So like that's a totally different mentality, because back then, especially on film, like a lot of people, the common man would shoot their film, drop it off at Kmart, CVS, whatever lab, get their roll back.
That was it.
That was it.
Well, that was the process.
Right, that was the process. The editing all happened in the lab. But nowadays we have photographers that are known for their editing style.
Yep.
Specifically with digital. So it is a different mentality. Again, I fall on the fence with that because I do both. When it comes to digital specifically, if I'm on a family trip or if I'm out for a day just driving around, like I'm probably going to shoot a lot of JPEG because those are something that I just want to document my day.
Yeah.
It's not anything that I'm going to throw into my portfolio. Actually, I posted a set on Threads the other day that was our night out to eat. I posted the restaurant, a couple of other images with it. Those were all JPEGs, straight out of camera. Didn't want to edit them. I just wanted to document the night.
Yeah.
Versus if I'm editing for a client or I am editing a piece that maybe I want to sell a print of.
Yeah.
Definitely going to throw those in and shoot that raw and edit that thing. But yeah, editing versus straight out of camera, pretty hot topic right now. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer because what we do is so subjective.
No, it's definitely subjective. And I think on one of my YouTube videos, a guy commented, and he said he'd basically gotten to the point in his photography. He said, "I don't want to edit."
Yeah, I can see that too.
He's literally just tired of the editing process, and that's fine. So for his move, he's starting to move into more of a finished JPEG situation where he doesn't want to touch it.
Yeah.
Again, I enjoy editing. I do. I really enjoy accentuating or it's to me, it's the attempt, it's the opportunity that you have as a photographer to paint the image that you saw.
Yeah, you can put your stamp on it.
Which I'll also you talked about people just, and it's true, the common folk back then in the film, they did not do this. But I saw somebody post on Threads I don't know how he got his hands on this image, but it was a very iconic image of Muhammad Ali.
Oh yeah, with all the markings on it from the dark room.
From the guy who shot it, and he was
It's
developing
dark room edits. Yeah,
But I was like, oh man, see, so people have been tweaking, and he wanted to raise this and lower that.
Yeah,
and
you
add
see
that.
+2s and +1s everywhere,
And it's like, okay, he was painting a picture, literally, on top
I was
of
going
his
to say,
picture.
back in the enlarging days, like he's literally dodging and burning. That's where you get those tools from in Photoshop.
Yeah. So
Darkening in place of the images, lightening the other. That's what I was saying. A lot of editing back then happened in the lab.
yeah,
There was no post-processing as far as computers go.
right.
But yeah, the editing's certainly been around for a while, but there are still those purists out there.
I'll say this: your photo is not any better or any worse.
No. I don't care what you do. I'm gonna shoot what I shoot.
If you shot it straight out of camera, didn't touch it with a single editing, or if you edited it for 3 hours, your photo's not any better or any worse to me. At the end of the day, here's the situation: are you happy with that image?
Yeah.
Does that image reflect what you saw?
Does it check your box?
And if it did, then that's great.
Great, winner.
Did you edit it? Don't care. Did you not edit it? Don't care.
I don't even want to know.
No, I'm fine.
I just like the image.
I'm not going to lose a bit of sleep over it.
I just like the image. Good job, you.
Here's the other one. We'll finish with this one. We've chopped it up a bit, but it's still hot. And people, I don't know why people find themselves having to be literally on one side of the fence here.
No, people like to argue. That's why we're
And
recording this episode, because people like to argue.
That's true. Okay, so the last one, and we briefly hinted at it, but it's film versus digital.
Ooh.
Similar situation to edit versus not editing.
I was going to say, these two go hand in hand.
Film versus digital. You've got people who will die on the hill that this film photo is better because it's film, and I can't believe you would ever pick up one of those godforsaken digital cameras. Then you got other people who are like, I don't know, maybe join us in the 21st century and shoot this digital tech because it's better.
Yo, geezer.
I'm personally, I do both.
I do both.
I don't care.
Well, I'll take you a step further. This is going to come as a shocker to our audience and to you, but I still very regularly, as of like this morning, screw both of them up.
Yeah.
So I'm an equal opportunity screw up here. I like film. I like digital.
Right.
They're both fun to me.
You know what's funny? It's really funny because I saw this reel, and this dude was making a hilarious point. He was playing different characters, and the character was this film photographer from 1980. And he was. Have you seen this?
No, but this sounds like my kind of guy.
He was playing this film photographer from 1980, talking to this snob in 2024, talking about, oh, yeah, I do this because it's so pure. And the 1980 guy goes, I did this because this was the latest tech.
Yeah.
This is what I had.
Yeah.
He goes, so he went the opposite way. So he went 30-something years into the future. He goes, are you still going to carry around an iPhone 15?
Ooh.
When the iPhone 47 is out or whatever?
Doubtful.
It's the same concept, though. Yeah. He goes, he was basically making fun of the people who are like, oh, this is the most pure form of photography and you know, all this and that. And he's basically saying, no, people shot film then because what
they had to.
That's what existed.
Yeah, they had to.
They probably would have shot the new digital stuff if
they graduated from large format 10 type.
So it was really funny to see this, like the futuristic thought of, no, I'm probably not going to carry around an iPhone 15 30 years from now just because it's pure or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
I will say this, though, like as far as not necessarily results, because, again, you can achieve any result with a digital or film camera that you want to.
Especially today.
I will say this. When it comes to just the experience part of this argument, I personally enjoy the experience of shooting film more than I do digital. Digital is, you know, it's fun, but it's such an instantaneous reward, I guess you can say, that for me, and again, it's just because the way that I grew up, I mean, I helped my dad restore things growing up, but I love, literally from start to finish, I love going and finding a decrepit old film camera. I love the process of buying a roll of film, putting it in that camera to test functionality.
Yeah.
I love not knowing if I'm going to get any images after I get that film developed or after I develop it. But just the tactile nature of loading film, of, you know, manually advancing each frame.
Yeah.
Setting ISO, setting my aperture, metering a scene for light. Like, those are things to me that experience-wise, I will take a stance and say that film is better than digital in that sense. But as far as results go, no. You can get anything that you want to with either one. But I do like the experience of film. So for me, it is better for that reason.
There you go. That was the qualifier for you.
For me.
This is different for everybody.
Right. It's different for everybody. Not everybody likes film. Not everybody likes old tech. Not everybody likes the heartache of getting a blank roll of film back after you've spent $15 on a roll.
Yeah. I do. I do enjoy the process. But I'm not someone who's going to sit here and say this photo's better because it was hashtag shot on film.
Right. Results, like I said, results to me can be whatever.
Yeah.
Because you can achieve both. For me, it boils down to experience alone.
Absolutely.
So and I think the cameras are pretty.
Is film better than digital, or is digital better than film?
I don't know.
No. I mean, it depends on what you're needing to do.
Right.
Now, are you gonna be a sports photographer in today's climate with film cameras? There is a thing. There is a small subset.
I'd like to be a part of that subset.
This guy does. I think his Instagram handle is Expired Film Club.
Yeah.
He shoots all the European soccer matches on these old things. I'm like, dude, now that's a vibe.
There's a guy that does it for University of Georgia football. Since you're a dog fan, yeah.
Paid?
Yeah.
Is he paid?
Oh yeah, he's got some good work.
Nice.
My dream film sports photography rig is a Canon EOS 1N.
Now, is that looking kind of like the?
It looks like a 5D, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like the film version of a 5D. But,
you know what? I have actually considered actually considered getting one of those newer Canon or newer. Well,
Yeah, it's
it'd
EF
be
mount.
the latest
I've got an
Nikon
EF
or the
mount
latest Canon.
I've got
Those
an
are-
EF film Canon.
You do?
Yeah, I've got a Rebel 2000.
Huh.
So it's an EF.
Jordy had a one something the other
He
day.
had, I think he had the one in. But I met a wedding photographer a while back. She was shooting on an EOS 1V, which is like the brother to that. She shoots weddings on film.
Nice.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. So yeah, as far as, again, user experiences, and two, I do think that film cameras are prettier than modern day digital cameras. Minus Fuji's, because Fuji's kind of
They kind of have that retro.
They do.
I take my Fuji out all the time, and they're all the time saying,
People ask me all the time if
that a
my
film
Fuji's
camera?
film camera.
no, it's just something they do.
And then when I have the actual film cameras out, people still ask, is it a film camera? And I'm
No,
like,
this
yes,
one
this one is.
Thank you for asking. I'm glad you noticed. I'm a better photographer because of it,
Because I'm
too.
shooting on a film camera.
Yeah.
And then
Especially
I-
if you wear your vest.
And then I get home and I have a blank roll.
So no, I'm not. Actually, in fact,
Oh,
better.
man.
But no, ultimately, no. I don't think one is any better than the other. I truly think it comes down to, what part of the craft do you enjoy doing? I don't think you have to choose. There is this huge polarizing topic.
You can love them all.
You can't love this one if you love this one. And I just
That's a very Richard mentality.
I just
have.
don't buy into that. I think radio said it best.
Yeah, I like
Again,
both.
Both.
Yeah. I
Which
don't
pie do you want
subscribe to
today,
the either
radio?
or.
She said.
Both.
Both.
I don't subscribe to the film versus digital mentality. I like it all.
Well, I'll say this too.
And I'm poorer because of it.
Bit of I'm a bit of a down to earth kind of guy here in this sense. Today, your film is becoming digital, anyways. Before
Right.
you
You're
get to do
scanning
anything
it.
with it.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
I mean, I'm scanning it with a digital camera.
It ultimately becomes a digital file with
Until I
pixels.
create my darkroom enlarging setup, and then
that. now, if you go to that, then you're full film.
it's in the works.
Nice.
It's in the works.
That'd be fun.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be real fun.
You talk about mistakes.
Oh yeah, we're gonna make quite a few of them. Hey, you might get to see me mark up a few of them contact sheets, like the Mike Tyson shot that you were talking about, or the Muhammad Ali shot. My bad.
Nice. So you get to edit after you've done your negative?
So the way an enlarging setup works, and this is totally off topic, but
Yeah, I
the
didn't
way
mean
an
to get
enlarging
there.
setup works is like you're literally blasting light onto photoreactive paper. So that's where the terms dodging
Through your negative.
through a filter of your negative. Yes, it's through your filter or through a filter through a negative. But that's where the terms dodging and burning come from, is you're literally darkening parts of that image by blocking light or increasing the amount of light that photo paper receives for certain areas. That's where those tools in Photoshop come from. It comes from the darkroom.
Well,
back in the
I've known dodging and burning, but I didn't realize that part of the editing
It's
or
done
your
on the
editing
enlarger.
part of that process was done post development.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you develop your negatives and then you're enlarging onto photoreactive paper,
Which I guess the only developing editing
and you're putting it in photo
that you have
chemicals
at
as
that
well.
point would be development times and pushing and pulling. You could tweak a little bit at that stage.
Yeah, but that's in the film development. That has nothing
Right.
to do with enlarging.
Oh, I got you.
The enlarger, you're literally blasting that negative onto photoreactive
That
paper
8x10 or something.
Mhm.
Nice.
Yep.
There you go.
process.
Skip digital altogether. Like who cares about a TIFF file, right?
Don't need it.
Yeah.
We're going straight to paper, baby.
The way it was intended.
Jared, speaking of things that we would like sent straight to us, there are some things that our audience can do that would make us very happy podcasters. What are those?
Yeah, leave us a review.
Mm-hmm.
Comments.
Stars and bars.
If you enjoyed listening to it, hey, share it with somebody. That's how this thing grows.
Yeah.
We can reach more people.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be kind of cool.
That would be cool. We'd like to help as many folks as we can. We're Enneagram 2s. It's in our core values and
Yeah.
nature.
I was gonna say DNA, but that's not true. But yeah,
I mean, it's in our attitudes.
There you go.
Our moxie,
there you go.
as people would say back
Yeah.
in the day.
Leave us a review. Leave us a rating. Send this to somebody who you think, you know what? I've heard them talk about this. And these guys are telling them they're not. They shouldn't have to be that polarizing.
You don't have to choose.
You don't gotta
have to choose. You can like them all. On that note, Jared, here's the hard part.
Yeah. Well, we'll see y'all later.
All right, he didn't make that very hard.
See y'all next time.
Y'all have a good one.